Have you ever felt like a fragment of a forgotten story, a memory that doesn't belong to this time? It's a quiet feeling, isn't it? A whisper in the silent moments of your day. A strange sense of longing for a home you can't name. A pull towards a past that isn't written in our history books. You see the world around you so solid and real, yet a part of you feels that this is not the full story. That something profound, something beautiful, has been erased or covered by the dust of ages. This feeling is not an illusion. It is an echo, a memory of the soul, reminding you that our collective story is far deeper and more ancient than we are told. You are not alone in sensing this. Many awakened souls feel this subtle ache of cosmic homesickness. Today, we are not going to look at maps or argue about physical locations. Instead, we will listen to that echo together. We will speak of Hyperborea not as a lost continent of ice and rock, but as a forgotten state of being, a civilization that existed on a higher plane of consciousness. This is a journey into the memory of what humanity once was and what it could be again. We will explore why this legend persists, not as a fairy tale, but as a deep, encoded memory within our spiritual DNA, a blueprint of a world without sickness, conflict, or old age. If this feeling of a forgotten home resonates within you, share a single word in the comments that describes it. Your experience is a vital piece of this shared puzzle. This vault is a space for the whispers that are too often ignored in the noise of the modern world. Subscribe and join our circle so you do not miss these conversations that help us remember who we truly are. Together. The ancient Greek poet Pindar wrote of this place, saying, "Neither by ship nor by foot would you find the marvelous road to the assembly of the Hyperboreans." Think about what this truly means. He wasn't giving us a riddle about geography. He was giving us a key. He was telling us that Hyperborea cannot be reached by physical means. It's not a place you travel to, but a state you must awaken within. The marvelous road is not on any map of the earth. It is the inner path of consciousness, the journey back to a higher frequency of existence. The legend was never about finding a place, but about finding a lost part of ourselves. Let us now walk that marvelous road together. Not with our feet, but with our awareness. Let's go deeper and try to understand the truth that hides behind the myth and why remembering Hyperborea is so important for us right now. Let us begin by meditating on the name itself. Hyperborea. The ancient Greeks who passed down this name were not speaking of geography. They were speaking of consciousness. The name means beyond Boreas, and Boreas was the personification of the north wind. But what is this wind truly? It is more than just cold air. The north wind is a symbol for the constant, chattering anxiety of the human mind. It is the internal voice that whispers of lack, of not being enough, of the need to hurry, to strive, to protect yourself. It is the icy wind of survival mode consciousness, a state we have inhabited for so long that we have mistaken it for life itself. This wind makes us clench our jaws, tighten our shoulders, and view the world as a place of potential threats. It is the pressure of society's expectations, the relentless feeling of what's next, the fear that if you stand still for even a moment, you will be left behind or consumed. Now, imagine a state of being that exists beyond this wind. Close your eyes for a moment if you feel called. Imagine stepping out of that relentless gale into a place of profound stillness. This is Hyperborea. It is not a physical shelter, but an internal sanctuary. It is the spaciousness that opens up inside you when the voice of fear goes quiet. It is a warmth that does not come from an outer fire, but radiates from your own core. In this state, there is no need to struggle because you are in perfect alignment with the flow of life. You are not fighting the current. You are the water itself. Have you ever felt a moment of this? A moment of pure, effortless peace, perhaps while watching a sunset, holding a sleeping child, or simply breathing in the silence of the early morning. In that moment, the north wind of your mind ceased, and you were, for a blessed instant, a citizen of Hyperborea. You were touching your original nature. We are conditioned to believe these moments are rare exceptions, fleeting vacations from the real world of struggle. But the memory that stirs within you, the memory of Hyperborea, whispers a radical truth. The stillness is the real world. The struggle is the illusion. This myth is the first and most important key. It is not telling you to search for a lost paradise on a map. It is inviting you to step out of the wind of your own thinking and find the paradise that has been waiting patiently within you all along. The ancient tales insist on another beautiful, almost unbelievable detail. The people of Hyperborea knew neither sickness nor the decay of old age. Our modern mind, trained in the logic of biology and physics, immediately rebels. It searches for rational explanations, a secret diet, a forgotten science, a unique genetic anomaly. But again, we are looking at the shadow and ignoring the light that casts it. The physical is always a mirror, a reflection of a deeper, energetic reality. Let us think of sickness not as an invading enemy, but as a form of language. Sickness is often the body's way of speaking a truth that the mind has refused to acknowledge. It is a manifestation of disharmony, of blocked energy. Think of unspoken grief that settles in the lungs, of unfelt anger that burns in the gut, of the persistent fear that acidifies the entire system. These are not poetic ideas. They are energetic realities. A life lived in the cold north wind of constant stress, fear, and inner conflict is a life of profound energetic friction. This friction, over time, grinds down the vessel. The Hyperboreans lived in a state of such deep emotional and spiritual coherence, such profound inner peace, that this friction simply did not exist. Their life force flowed like a clear river, with no dams of repressed trauma or boulders of unresolved conflict. In such a state, what ground could illness possibly find to take root? And what of old age? We experience time as chronos, a linear, unforgiving arrow that flies from birth to death, measuring our decay. We are taught this story from our first breath. We see it on the faces of our elders, and we anticipate it in the mirror. It is a program of decline. The Hyperboreans, however, lived in Kairos, a different quality of time. Kairos is not about duration, but about depth. It is the eternal, timeless quality of the present moment. A consciousness that is fully immersed in the now, is not concerned with the past or the future. It is not bound by the story of its own decline. Think of your body as a sacred instrument. The strings are your energy, your emotions, your thoughts. When you live in a state of fear and internal conflict, the strings are either painfully tight or hopelessly slack. The music that your life plays is dissonant, jarring. This is the frequency of aging and decay. The Hyperboreans kept their instrument in perfect tune through joy, gratitude, and love. The music of their life was harmonious, resonant, and beautiful. Their life force didn't diminish with the years. It ripened. They didn't die in the way we fear. They simply completed their song and dissolved back into the cosmic orchestra in an act of ultimate, joyful release. The memory stirring in you is a rebellion against the program of decline. It is your soul remembering that it was made to play beautiful music. This land of legend was illuminated. It was said, by a sun that never set. It was a realm of perpetual daylight. Again, we must resist the urge to place this on a polar axis. The most potent truths are always internal. The sun of Hyperborea is the inner sun. It is the inextinguishable light of pure consciousness, the divine spark that is the very essence of your being. It is the silent, observing presence behind your thoughts, the source of all warmth, all intelligence, and all love. It is the part of you that can say, I am, before you add, I am this or I am that. In our world, we are conditioned from birth to be beggars for light. We look for it outside of ourselves. We seek the warmth of another's approval, the light of social media validation, the glow of success and status. We believe we need a partner to be complete, a job title to be worthy, an audience to be seen. We are constantly trying to fill an inner darkness with fleeting outer lights, a spiritual hunger we try to satisfy with scraps. And when the outer world turns cold, when the approval is withdrawn, we feel plunged into darkness and despair. The Hyperborean consciousness is the full and final realization that you are the sun. The source of all the light, warmth, and love you could ever need is already blazing within you. It is your birthright. The clouds of fear, doubt, and conditioning may hide it from your own view, but they can never extinguish it. The sun never sets. You only have to turn your attention inward to find it. From this inner radiance came their language. It was not a language of clumsy words that so often create misunderstanding and separation. It was a language of resonance, of direct feeling, of pure intent. A language of light. Think of the deep, unspoken understanding you share with a beloved animal, or the way a powerful piece of music can convey a universe of emotion without a single word, or the feeling of absolute truth and safety you feel in the presence of a truly authentic and peaceful person. This is a glimpse of that language. It is the communication of the soul. Your intuition is an echo of this native tongue. How many times has your gut feeling, your intuition, whispered a clear and simple truth, only for your logical mind to shout it down with 1,000 complicated doubts? To remember Hyperborea is to learn to trust that quiet whisper again. It is the language of your own inner sun. If such a state was once our reality, what happened? Where did it go? The story of the loss of Hyperborea is the most tragic, and the most personal story of humanity. It was not a physical cataclysm. There was no asteroid, no flood, no pole shift that destroyed it. The catastrophe was internal. It was a slow, subtle, and seductive fall in consciousness. It was a descent into forgetting. Imagine it not as a sudden event, but as a creeping fog. Humanity slowly began to turn its gaze away from the inner sun and become hypnotized by the shadows it cast on the wall of matter. The soul, the dreamer, became so fascinated with its own dream, the drama of the physical world, that it began to forget it was dreaming. A whisper began, a seductive lie that said, "This body is you. This name is you. This tribe is you. This pain is you. This fleeting life is all there is." And we believed it. We identified with the mask and forgot the timeless face beneath. This was the birth of the individual ego, the sense of a separate self, locked in a fragile vessel, at odds with a world of other separate selves. As our consciousness grew denser, so did our reality. The world of unity, where everything was seen as an expression of one life, fractured into a million pieces. Otherness was born, and from otherness came fear. From fear came the need to control, to dominate, to protect me and mine from you and yours. This is the root of all war, all greed, all judgment. Hyperborea did not sink beneath the waves. It sank beneath the weight of our own fear. The marvelous road became overgrown not because it was destroyed, but because we forgot it existed. We chose the tangled path of the north wind. The world we now inhabit, with its sharp edges, its anxieties, its deep-seated loneliness, is the direct result of this amnesia. It is a world built on the forgotten premise of separation. That quiet ache in your heart, that feeling of being a stranger here, that cosmic homesickness, that is not a flaw in your design. It is the most sacred part of you. It is your soul remembering its home. It is the dreamer, stirring in its sleep, wanting to wake up. A truth so fundamental, a memory so profound, cannot be completely erased. It can only be driven into the subconscious, where it continues to speak to us in the language of symbols, dreams, and myths. The memory of Hyperborea is encrypted in the most sacred stories of humanity. We see it in the myth of Apollo, the god of light, music, and truth. Why did he have to leave the world of gods and men every winter and return to Hyperborea? It was not a vacation. It was an act of spiritual necessity. He had to return to his source to be rejuvenated, to recalibrate his being to the frequency of pure light, lest he be diminished by the chaos of the world. This is a map for us. It tells us that we, too, must make the pilgrimage inward, into our own inner stillness, to reconnect with our source, or we will burn out. We see this memory in the Tibetan legends of Shambhala, a hidden kingdom of enlightened masters who safeguard the highest wisdom for the time when humanity is ready to hear it again. We see it in the Celtic tales of Tir na Nog, the land of the young, a mystical realm beyond the sea where sickness and death were unknown. We see it in the story of the Garden of Eden, a state of innocent, harmonious unity with the divine before the fall into the knowledge of separation. Atlantis, too, may be another such memory, a different path, perhaps one that explored the power of the mind and technology, a different expression of a higher consciousness. These are not just charming folktales. They are postcards from our former selves. They are fragments of a shattered mirror, and each one reflects the same original light. They were left for us as signposts to remind us of the road back home. And who are the guardians of this ancient memory? They are not just mythical figures in old books. The true guardians have always lived among us. They are the quiet mystic, the true artist who channels unexplainable beauty, the compassionate elder whose presence is a balm of peace, the child whose eyes still see the magic in the world. They guard the flame not by hiding it, but by being it. And the ultimate guardian, the one holding the master key to this entire library of wisdom, is you. The memory is not stored in stone tablets, but in the very vibration of your soul. The map is not drawn on ancient parchment. It is etched upon your own heart. This brings us to the core of our journey together today. Why is it so vitally important to remember this forgotten state, right here, right now, in the midst of our chaotic modern world? The answer is the most empowering truth of all. To remember Hyperborea is to begin to consciously recreate it. This is not about escapism. It is not about longing for a past that is gone. It is about activating a dormant blueprint for a new way of being, for yourself and for the world. You, in your very consciousness, are a portal. You are a bridge between worlds. Your state of being is an act of creation. Every time you are faced with a choice, you are at a crossroads. When you feel the hot rush of anger or judgment, and instead of becoming that fire, you choose to take a breath, to observe it with compassion, and to let it pass. In that moment, you have just anchored a fragment of Hyperborean peace onto this plane of existence. When you put down your phone and give another person your full, undivided, silent presence, listening not just to their words but to their soul, you are speaking the language of light. When you look at a stranger and consciously choose to see the inner sun within them, beyond their politics, their appearance, or their beliefs, you are rebuilding the world of unity, one thought at a time. Remembering is the most powerful creative act available to a human. You are not trying to achieve a state of peace. You are remembering the peace that you are. You are not becoming a source of light. You are remembering the sun that you have always been. This is not a journey of attainment, but of reclamation. Your task is not to fight the darkness in the world. Your task is to tend to your own inner light with such devotion that the darkness simply finds no purchase in you. A beacon does not shout at the ships to change their course. It does not rail against the storm. It simply stands, anchored to its rock, and shines its light steadily and without apology. And the ships that are looking for a safe harbor will find their way. So we stand at the end of this telling, and the logical mind, the one that lives in the north wind, asks for a map, a strategy, a 5-step plan to return to Hyperborea. It wants to know what to do. But the deepest truth of this journey is that the doing is the trap. The striving, the seeking, the desperate attempt to achieve this state is the very energy of the north wind itself. You cannot fight your way into peace. You cannot struggle your way into a land defined by the absence of struggle. It is the ultimate paradox. The mind that wants to conquer this concept is the very guard at the gate, turning itself away. The true shift, the only solution, is to gently lay down the weapons of seeking. It is to move from the realm of intellectual knowing into the quiet, felt sense of remembering. You can read every book ever written about light. You can memorize the physics of a photon. You can become the world's leading expert on the sun. But none of that knowledge will ever compare to the simple act of stepping out from the shade and feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin. One is information, the other is experience. One is knowing about something, the other is knowing it. Your mind has now been given the information. It has been given the name, the myth, the concept. The invitation now is to let that knowledge drop from the noisy attic of your mind down into the silent, warm living room of your heart. You will know it has arrived when the response is not, "This is interesting," but a deep, resonant sigh of, "Yes, I remember this." So what does this remembrance look like in a practical sense, in a life filled with demands and distractions? It is not about grand gestures of renunciation. It is about small, sacred acts of presence. It is the decision, just for this one breath, to actually feel the air enter your lungs. It is the choice to truly taste the food you are eating, instead of consuming it while your mind is already in the next meeting. It is the willingness to listen to the rain, or to feel the texture of a leaf, or to look into another's eyes for a moment longer than is comfortable, searching for the light behind them. These are not insignificant things. These are the steps on the marvelous road. Each moment of pure, undivided presence is a moment you spend in Hyperborea. You are not building a bridge to a faraway place. You are simply realizing you have been standing in it all along, just with your eyes closed. And what of the pain? What of the anxiety, the grief, the winds that will inevitably return? The new perspective, the Hyperborean memory, does not promise to stop the weather. It offers you a new way to relate to it. It reminds you that you are not the cloud. You are the sky, the clouds of thought and emotion, fear, anger, sadness. They are temporary phenomena drifting through the vast, silent, and indestructible space of your awareness. Before, you believed you were the storm. You were tossed about within it, identified with it, terrified by it. The remembrance is the realization that you are the silent, witnessing stillness in which the storm takes place. This changes everything. You no longer have to fight the clouds or run from them. You can simply allow them to be, knowing they are not you and that they will pass. The war ends, not with a victory, but with a profound, compassionate peace. This is not a solution that you apply. It is a truth that you unfold into, day by day, breath by breath. It is a remembering. If any part of this journey, any word or any silence in between, has resonated in the quietest part of you, please know that this feeling is not an illusion. It is not a fantasy or a sign that you are not fit for this world. It is the opposite. It is the truest, most ancient, and most sane part of you speaking. It is the echo of your soul's origin, a vibration of truth in a world of noise. Your feeling of a forgotten home is a sacred compass, and it is pointing you in the right direction. Trust it, and know this with absolute certainty. You are not alone in this feeling. You are walking a path that has been walked by mystics, poets, and quiet souls since the dawn of humanity. They may have used different names: Nirvana, Heaven, Shambhala, the Kingdom of God, but the destination, the longing, and the memory were the same. When you feel this ache of cosmic homesickness, you join a silent and timeless community of rememberers. You stand shoulder to shoulder with every being who has ever looked up at the stars and felt a pull towards something more, something realer than the world before them. Even when this path feels solitary, and the forgetting feels heavy, and the world seems determined to convince you that your inner sun is just a myth, know that this, too, is a necessary part of the journey. A seed must be buried in the dark earth before it can grow towards the light. The immense pressure of this dense, material reality is the very force that cracks open the hard shell of the ego, allowing the tender shoot of your soul's memory to finally emerge. No step is wasted. Every moment of confusion, every tear of longing, is watering that seed. It is all part of the beautiful and sometimes painful process of remembering who you truly are. Your journey is sacred. Let this conversation not be an ending, a final answer that you file away. Let it instead be the beginning of a new kind of listening, an invitation to pose a question to the deepest part of yourself. So I will leave you not with an answer, but with a question to carry into your own silence. When all the words have faded, including these, when all the noise of the world is gone, and when all the stories you have been told about who you are have fallen away like old leaves, what does your silence know? Let that question live in you. The answer will not come in words. It will come as a feeling, as a warmth, as a presence. It will come as a memory,